Hey everyone, and welcome to Carysgarage. And on this episode, we're going to check out another one of my cars we haven't looked at yet. Now, before we start looking around at the car, I'm going to put up a couple of pictures of what it looked like when it was a bit more complete, because I started taking it apart a while ago because I was going to start getting some work done to it, and then I stopped because other projects. But let's go ahead and check out a couple pictures first, and then we'll look at the car. This is a 1957 Citroen Traction Avant 11BL Legere. It's one of the last ones they made. It's very, very late in production, 57. It was the last year that they ever made the Traction Avant. And now that we looked at the pictures, here's the car as it sits right now. I'm rearranging the yard, so I have it sitting up on the trailer just to move it from one side to the other. But as you can tell, the whole front end is completely apart. I've got the fenders, the hood, all those parts, grill and whatnot, sitting in the garage. It is a four-door with the suicide doors. This is, being a fairly late production car, it's got the humpback rear trunk. The earlier ones, I think it was 52, had the much more elegant trunk that looked like it had the spare tire was on it. I like those quite a bit more, but you know, they're pretty hard to find, and this is the one that I have. The paint's completely destroyed. It's got some rust. Hasn't run in I don't know how many years, probably longer than I've been alive. But it's still a pretty neat car, and there's some pretty interesting stuff with it. And since it's all exposed, we'll go ahead and take a look kind of at the engine area. So here's the engine. See the spark plugs coming out right there. The later style D engines, the spark plugs came from up top. Here's the transmission at the very front of the car. Like I said, it is front wheel drive, so there's the drive axles on the front wheels, goes in the transmission. And the engine is actually backwards, so engine, transmission, and then it's got this accessory drive that goes through the engine from the camshaft, I believe. And then there's your pulley right here to run your water pump and your generator. If you're wondering what all this linkage is right here, that's actually for the shifter. I'll show that to you here in a minute. These cars I really love because it's got all these little elegant touches, like these door handles are just absolutely fantastic. Oh, and I'll show you one thing really interesting. If you look, the only door handle that has a lock is the passenger door. They discouraged getting out and locking on the traffic side, so they always figure if you park on the side of the sidewalk, you'd get out and lock the door on that side. But here's the interior. I have the seat bottoms. I just took it out because I was vacuuming. It looks like some pack rats had gotten into it. Those are in the back of my truck. Like I said, you know, this is a pretty big project. The interior is pretty ripped up and pretty destroyed. A lot of the most important parts of it are all there. I've got this for the driver's door. I've got the glass, everything for that. And as we come over here to the driver's door, the door check is not installed, so it opens up all the way. It's not supposed to do that. But it's a fairly simple dash. You've got your speedometer that's got an amp gauge, your fuel level gauge, and then down here is an accessory water temperature gauge. Got a bunch of controls. Some of these switches are not original. This one is a passing light switch. Basically, what you would do is while you were driving, you would actually just kind of flick it and it would make your high beams flash. I don't know why they'd be so optimistic to think that you could pass in this, because this does not have much horsepower, whatever. These are actually pretty slow cars. They're fun to drive. They're pretty cool, but they're not quick by any means. And then towards the middle of the dash here, we've got more controls. You've got timing, advance and retard, choke, starter. I forget what EG is. This is your turn signal switch right here. It's actually like a little timer. When you turn it on, it goes tick, 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 and then it clicks back down. This knob right here actually opens up the windshield. So, oh no, just kidding. That doesn't open up the windshield. This opens up the windshield right here. So if you actually screw this in, it opens up the windshield to vent. I honestly don't remember what this one does. This one might actually be for the wipers. A lot of these cars had a mechanical bypass for the wipers, even though it is electric, it's not vacuum. Got your headlight switch, horn switch on the column, but the most interesting thing is the shifter. If you look, it's this handle that comes out right here, and it's a 3-speed. So what you would do is you would put it down into first, over. It's kind of bound up. I need to take it all apart and rebuild it. But A, go first, second, third, and then reverse is A. So it's kind of an odd system. Come over to the passenger side, give you a little bit better look of that shifter. It's definitely different. The French did stuff kind of, whatever they felt like. Got your ashtray, glove box with the St. Christopher medal that's been there for who knows how long, and that'll stay. Very neat old system. And one of the other weird things to look at, if you see where the gas pedal's placed, it's kind of awkward. I've known people who've driven these a lot, and they say the gas pedal's a little odd. As you can see, there's rust in the floors. Some right there. It's not terrible. I've seen much, much worse with these cars, because this is also a unibody car. It has no frame. The rockers down here are really important, and there is a little bit of rust up there, but the rockers, for the most part, are incredibly well intact, which is one of the biggest structural issues with these cars. If those are all rotted out, there's no point in saving it. But this one is solid enough with just a little bit of rust that I can deal with, where I think when the time is right, we'll be able to get this thing going again. And then we come to the back seat. I've just got a bunch of parts laying in here for it. The rear door part cards and the seats is probably actually the nicest of the interior. So eventually when I do redo it, I will pattern it after this original look, because I really like it. Well, that's the 1957 Citroen Traction Avant Legere. There's not really a huge amount to see. Like I said, it's a pretty big project. It's a very ambitious project that, hopefully someday when, maybe I've got a bigger shop and, a little bit more ability to do this kind of a restoration, I will. But funny story though, this is the only car I've ever actually owned twice. I got it years ago, sold it to a friend, wanted it back, bugged him for years, and then he sold it back to me for a couple $100 more than I sold it to him for, like 8 or 9 years later. But it's neat. They're pretty rare. You don't really see them too often. I know of a couple in the city here, and a couple, California has some, Washington, a bunch of my Citroen collector friends. They're out there, but they're not common, I'll tell you that. If it was not as rare, I probably would find something that was a little bit nicer and put together. But for now, this is what I have, and one of these days I might actually get to it. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and catch you on the next video.